Welcome to the Domain of Anguish Speed Clear EMO Guide, your ultimate guide for the Elementalist Monk Bonder. I will first talk about the EMO build and attributes, we'll then touch on EMO's key mechanics such as the correct usage of EMO's bonds and tanking spots in Veil and Gloom, and finally I will provide a commentary on a recent run from the perspective of an EMO. The EMO is a key role in the DoASC team, responsible for maintaining bonds on the entire team. In terms of build, you first of all have Burning Speed, which is a spammable enchantment that is crucial for the EMO to assist with energy management due to short casting speed and no recharge time. It also provides an additional enchantment on the EMO to increase their energy and health boost while he maintains ether renewal himself. Spirit Bond is a useful enchantment to assist with EMO's tanking ability, and it is also a very effective way to keep the team alive when you are under heavy attack and you do not have time to rebond because it heals whenever an ally takes more than 50 damage. It is also useful to help the Seeder with tanking the last wave on 360 and main tank when he is walling as well, for example on Cloverpool. In addition, it provides another enchantment on the EMO to increase the energy and health boost while he maintains ether renewal on himself. Next we have ether renewal, which is a key enchantment that EMO must maintain on himself throughout the run, because each time you cast a spell you gain energy and health for each enchantment on you. Then we have Ebon Escape, which is useful due to no aftercast delay, so it's highly effective energy management under ether renewal. It also increases the speed of runs because it enables you to jump to the other team members on recharge as well as to and from ledges on the way to Gloom. In addition, it is useful to give minor healing to the snakes and Foundry and other team members while you're running. Next we have Infuse Health, which allows EMO to heal teammates throughout the run whenever they need a heal. It is also useful for fuse pools for enemies, especially on 360 waves in Veil. We next have Life Bond, which is used to redirect half of the damage taken by the teammate to the EMO, thereby helping the tanks while they are making their balls. Given the game mechanics mean that the EMO receives damage by maintaining the life bond on the other team members, it will trigger Buff the Spirit as well as Seed of Life when used by the Seeder, whenever teammates are attacked. Next we have Buff the Spirit, which provides +1 energy per hit whenever a teammate is enchanted with Buff the Spirit, and it should be maintained on the EMO to assist with energy management and on the tanks, especially in the City and Foundry. It is also useful for the Mesmers in energy-intensive areas such as Darkness's Spike, and Gloom, and Foundry's second and third rooms to cover Protective Bond from the Dream Riders mirror disenchantment. Finally, we have Protective Bond, which is a key enchantment that should be maintained on all team members throughout the run because the ally cannot lose more than 5% health from a single attack or spell. In terms of attributes, if you pop all of your pecons, then you will be able to achieve key breakpoints in the energy storage and protective prayers. Your energy storage jumps from 16 to 19, thereby maximizing duration and bonus from ether renewal and overall ensuring maximum bonding capacity. Your protective prayers will also jump from 12 to 15, thereby reducing damage received from life bond and increasing healing from the spirit bond. In terms of titles, you want to have maximum possible Lightbringer title to give yourself +1 damage reduction boost per each rank to assist with your tanking ability. You should also have rank 5 Ebon Vanguard, which is needed for maximum heal on the Ebon Escape, and EMO should also lead the team by example more generally in having all required titles. We now look closer at the armor and equipment. Other than to have the bombastic skins and armor, you need to ensure that they actually do the job required. First of all, you will need an energy storage headpiece with superior energy storage rune, which helps to achieve maximum duration of your ether renewal. You then have superior vigor rune to increase your health. Finally, Radiant Signature and Attunement runes should be used instead of any other because energy is of crucial importance to the EMO. In addition, you must carry a low armor set to help with the fuse pools of 360 waves in Veil, preferably starter armor, but 15 armor rating will also be sufficient. This set will have the same runes and inscriptions as for the main set and should not be a low health set because you still want to have the ability to provide maximum heal, which relies on your health being as high as possible. In terms of weapons, you will need most importantly an energy storage staff with 20% enchantment wrapping and 20/20 recharge in casting mods, as well as the Don't Think Twice inscription. It is also useful to have a protective prayer staff with 20% enchantment wrapping and 20/20 recharge in casting mods, as well as aptitude not attitude inscription. This is needed to increase the speed of your bonding for the team with protective bond and life bond as needed. It's also helpful to have a smiting and prayers staff with 20% enchantment wrapping and 20/20 recharge and casting mods, as well as aptitude not attitude inscription. This is helpful to increase the speed of bonding the Mesmers with Balthazar Spirit in key places such as Darkness's Spike and Gloom and in Foundry's second and third rooms. In addition, it is recommended to have a martial enchantment weapon with +5 energy and focus with +15 energy life for today inscription for desperate energy emergencies. It is also useful to have a martial enchantment weapon with 10% Don't Think Twice inscription and a shield with +10 versus demons mod when you are tanking enemies. Finally, you should take a flat bow or longbow so you are able to pull any enemies as needed. In terms of pecons, you must at all times pop birthday cupcakes, candy corn, candy apples, and pumpkin pie, and it is also helpful to pop golden eggs, lunas, and war supplies. EMO should also have at least 20 resurrection scrolls and preferably more in case any of the Mesmers need a fast res and Seeder is not around to UA them. Personal morale boost or death penalty removal, for example pumping cookies, are good. You also have some dragon seals or power stones in case you need to get instant recharge on your skills, but make sure to communicate with your team before you pop one. This is because party-wide morale boost in DOA may mess up the team in case instant recharge of skills is needed by using dragon seal or power stone, for example to counter diversion on Mesmers during the air spike, or for Trenchstein to get his timing right at Cave or Dervish Lord kill. Some throwaway stones are helpful in case you need to break aggro, and finally I always carry some Tengu flares to help with spikes as needed. EMO's key job in DoASC team is to maintain all correct bonds on the entire team, and it is crucial to get your spots for tanking right, as well as to keep range of the tanks to avoid losing bonds or recalling them out too early. EMO can maintain 14 bonds at any one time, and you must not miscount the number of bonds to avoid inadvertently losing any of the bonds. It is important to understand how each of the bonds works in order to bond the team correctly. Firstly, Life Bond reduces the damage that EMO is taking and counts as an enchantment towards the Ether Renewal effect. Life Bond is also how you get your energy. It doesn't redirect damage which is caused by another Life Bond on the attacks, so you will only get energy from your Life Bond on the EMO if they are tanky. You should be bonding the tanks with Life Bond at the following places. The main tank at the beginning of the city because he is not doing the first pull. In Veil you should bond the trench tank with Life Bond on waves 3 and 4 of 360, and main tank for the Ranger Lord Hill and Clover Pool. IU and main tank should also be bonded with Life Bond for the 6-0 pull. In Gloom, main tank should be bonded with Life Bond at Rift and Darkness Spike. Finally, bond both tanks near the end of the second room in Foundry before they run into the third room to tank the center ball. If you missed bonding the main tank at the end of second room, you can bond them in the fourth room while they are stationary in a corner for most of the fourth room. You should also bond the IU before he goes into the Beast Cave with Life Bond. Secondly, Prod Bond reduces the damage taken by another ally because they cannot lose more than 5% max health from a single attack or spell. Prod Bond should be maintained on the entire team throughout the run to keep the team alive. If you start in the city, then you should cast Prod Bond on yourself first, followed by main tank MLK, and then the rest of the team. You can then bond the trench tank after the first ball spike outside the city. Finally, Balthazar Spirit provides +1 energy per hit whenever a teammate is an enchantment with Balthazar Spirit. EMO should maintain it on himself throughout the run to assist with his energy management and on the tanks, especially in the city and Foundry. You should also cast it on the Mesmers for the Clover Spike in Veil and Darkness Spike in Gloom, Foundry's second and third rooms to cover protective bond, meaning that the Drem Rider's Mirror of Disenchantment or Shatter will remove only Balthazar Spirit as the latest enchantment on the target. In terms of tanking spots, EMO's tanking spots in Veil are 360 melee waves, Cloverpool and 6-0 spike. On 360 waves, EMO tanks waves 2 and 5 and stands as far as possible from the wall from the Death's Row Mall, without risking leaving a gap in your right side. On Cloverpool, if the main tank dies during the Cloverpool, then EMO needs to step forward and catch the entire ball to tank on the right wall. On 6-0 spike, when all of the smothering tendrils are killed, the EMO must tank the pop-ups by blocking them on the left claw on the top of the hill by standing as far as possible from the claw to the right to avoid the mobs being pulled around the EMO. As regarding Gloom, the EMO is responsible for tanking wave 4 at Gloom Cave. If the main tank is delayed, then you could also tank wave 8. And finally, tanking is on Darkness's spike is done by E into the main tank after the second wave of Darknesses dies, and you should take a couple of steps away from the main tank to the left or right to provide as much wall as possible to limit the number of hers sipping through to the team. Now let's observe a recent run that we did from the perspective of an EMO. We start our recorded run in the city of Torc'qua. Prior to start of the run, please ensure that your Lightbringer title is on, because for each rank of Lightbringer you have +1 damage reduction, which is helpful for tanking foes in DOA. Upon entry, you want to make sure that all of your pecons are popped, and please check that you equip your energy storage staff. If you have time, you should give Trench Banker Balthazar Spirit to help with his energy management for the first ball. Avoid casting any other bonds on the Trench Tank because he will be making the first ball as soon as possible after zoning. Don't start too close while the tank is moving because the mobs may suddenly break away. First of all, bond yourself with Ether Renewal, Prod Bond at Balthazar Spirit, and maintain your energy by recasting Ether Renewal and spamming the Burning Speed and Spirit Bond on yourself. This will be your tactic for maintaining your energy throughout the run. Run with the team until you get in a position for spiking of the first ball. While running, give Life Bond followed by Prod Bond and Balthazar Spirit to the main tank in order for him to start the big ball pool as soon as possible. You should cast Life Bond before Prod Bond on tanks in the city. Bond everyone with Prod Bond while running. First of all, ensure that the MLK has Prod Bond because he will be placing backfire on the first Sue on the city wall while the trench tank is finishing the first ball. After that, bond everyone with Prod Bond, starting with the Mesmers and then the Cedar. You must keep the main tank in your compass range in order for him to finish the big ball pool without losing bond. The best place to stand is next to the big boulder to the left of the city wall, which is also far enough to avoid being KD'd by the Sues. If any of the Mesmers are struggling with their energy, then they will ask for you to drop their Prod Bond to be killed quicker and you aid with full energy. Reapply Prod Bond on the Mesmers after after they are UA to ensure they can finish the city wall as soon as possible. You should also provide Balthazar Spirit on as many mesmers as possible to help with their energy management. Remember to give full bonds to the trench tank, starting with the life bond, prod bond and Balthazar Spirit, in order for him to do the big ball pull inside the city. Stand at the city gate and rebond any of the mesmers if they die on the second outside ball to get them ready for the inside city spikes. Then run through the city gate and stand in a little crevice to the right of the small dividing wall. It is important that you do not run out from the spot because this gives maximum range for both tanks to finish their inside city ball walls. Once the first inside ball done, the main tank will recall out on top of you and he will get ready for the Jadoth ball. You can run along the wall inside the city to get ready for the Jadoth ball, but keep the trench tank and mesmers in your compass range to avoid losing bonds on them for the spike. You should stay in the casting range of the main tank until he gets a recall up, and then go back for the seeder in order for him to seed you before the spike. When the second inside ball is dead, the seeder will run out from the city, and you should E across the wall to him as soon as possible. Jadoth pull is one of the most difficult parts of the run for the emo due to significant energy drain, and you keep spamming your burning speed and spirit bond to maximize energy gain. Call for the seeder to reapply his enchantments on you to assist with your energy management for this pull. Once it is clear, run into Veil to avoid -2 energy drain from repressive energy inside the city, and if any of the mesmers lost bonds during the last spike, and then rebond them before the Jadoth spike. Once the ball is dead, stack up with the rest of the team on the chest and continue maintaining your energy. If you need to recast your ether renewal, then take a few steps from the team in order to avoid being routed by Jadoth's Storm of Justice. City is now done, and the team has successfully annihilated the first Marganite blessed with the magic of Abaddon in 1 BE for the history buffs in the room. We now run into Veil. Run past the Shadow Army Patrol, which goes up and down the map, and you can curse them for those crappy spawns in the Fisher Wall. Keep using E on your teammates to get to the tanking spot for 360 as soon as possible. If all goes to plan, then you will get to the tanking spot in time for tanking the second wave on 360. If however your run started in Veil, then you will also need to tank wave 1 because the trench tank and MLK will not have split after the city to do the first wave. The correct tanking spot is next to the small crevice standing out from the red spawn moor, and you want to take a few steps to the left to ensure that you block all of the foes on the corner for the spike. If your run did not start in Veil, then the emo is responsible for tanking waves 2 and 5, which will contain only hungers and brutes. While the tanks are pulling the foes, you should bond both of the tanks with prod bond first and then life bond. If you lost bonds after the city, then also a good opportunity to rebond the rest of the team with prod bond. Range tank will be walling the wave 3 and 4, and you should change to your low armor set and keep using infused health on the trench tank in order for the fiends to run inside the ball. And this is called a fuse pull and works by the fiends switching to the emo as their target with lowest health and armor, which makes them run inside the ball. You should stand to the left of the team in the adjacent range of the ball in order to avoid fiends erupting the mesmers, but you should also not be too far because otherwise you risk the enemies not stacking on the trench tank. Once wave 5 is spiked, Cedar will tank the last wave, and you should be using the fuse pool on him in the same way as for the trench tank. You should also bond the Cedar with live bond and cast spirit bond on recharge for the Cedar to tank without the need for a C. After wave 6 is dead, you split to the Ranger Lord hill on the west side with the main tank VOR, TK and Cedar. If you lost bonds on the main tank, then rebond him with prod bond and live bond in order for the seed to trigger and heal him during the pull. You must keep the main tank in your compass range in order for him to finish this pull without being recalled out too early. Once the Ranger Lord is dead, run down the hill towards the Clover Trench. If you have any additional aggro, then popping a Summoning Stone should be your last resort here, because the Dervish Lord team is much more likely to need it. As always, monitor your range from the main tank and stand on the hill adjacent to the Clover Trench in order to avoid recalling him out before he can take the quest reward to open the trench. You should also not stand too close to the gate, which will trigger the Clover patrol in the trench, and wait until the gate opens before running through. While you have time, bond Mesmas with Prompt Bond and Balthazar Spirit. After both lords are dead, main tank will take the next quest, and you should stand just inside the Clover Trench to pull the front pop-up to the team. Once you aggro the group, start running towards the team and tank the pop-ups from the Clover Trench by taking a few steps away from the wall to block the foes and prevent them attacking the other teammates. If any of the mobs do seep through, then you must fuse any of the teammates being attacked to heal them, as well as putting Spirit Bond on them. While the team is finishing the straggler mobs, the main tank will have started the Clover pull. The ball is liable to be messy, and you should be ready to fuse the main tank if the seed is mistimed by the Cedar. If the main tank dies, then you should step out and aggro the ball to tank it on the right wall. If however all goes to plan, then you just need to Spirit Bond on recharge the main tank and fuse him when the seed is down. Once the straggler mobs are dead, you split with the main team to the left of the Clover Trench to run to the Ellie Lord. The team will need to spike the patrol on the way to Ellie Lord. If the group is close to the Ellie Lord spawn, then come up closer to the Ellie Lord hill, but you must never aggro the Fiend's group patrol on the left. EMO must tank this group in the usual way by maintaining ether renewal and spamming burning speed and spirit bond on himself. Please ensure that the TK has prod bond and life bond before he runs towards the Ellie Lord for his solo job. The team will not normally finish the spirits or sanity. Once the other foes are dead, you should stand behind the wall and keep the TK in your compass range until he finishes the Ellie Lord. Once the TK recalls out, fuse him and E to run outside of the Clover Trench quicker. Rebond the main tank with prod bond first and then life bond, and the same for the IU. The other team members must be bonded with prod bond before the quest reward is taken. Your ether renewal timing is critical here, and you should recast it ideally just before the quest reward is taken in order for it to be recharged in time for the tanking of the 6-0 groups. For this reason, you must communicate with the team, and if you need the main tank to delay taking the quest, the Volker can call this out. Once the Smothering Tendrils spawn, you will have significant energy drain and must be spamming Burning Speed and Spirit Bond to maintain your energy. Call for the Cedar to put his enchantments on you if he is not doing so. After all Tendrils die, you should start moving to the top left side of the hill directly in front of you. Make sure that you keep the main tank in your compass range to avoid inadvertently recalling him out during the pull. Recast your Ether Renewal just before the 6-0 waves hit you in order to avoid the fiends erupting you on recast. If you incorrectly time your Ether Renewal and your energy is about to reach 0, then drop your Prod Bond and you will be able to tank with Spirit Bond and Seed from the Monk without losing bonds on the team. If this happens, you should not spam Burning Speed in this instance to conserve your energy as well. And that's it, 6-0 is done and Dreadspawn More is no more. If you are unlucky and drop the bonds, then rebond the team while they are picking up their gems at the chest, and then run with the team into Gloom via the Gloom Trench. Keep using E in order to avoid losing bonds on the main tank. Ideally, main tank should have life bond in order for the C to heal the team during the spike. Give the main tank space to jump into the Gloom trench patrol and the Mesmers will spike it. Now we are in the foggy Ravenheart Gloom, where the Order of Whispers are hopelessly failing to deal with the forces of Malek. Once you are nearly at the Gloom gate, ping hard mode for the trench tank to activate cave waves. Come out from the Gloom trench and stand a few steps away from the ledge to give a host target for the main tank and IU. Then E to one of your teammates to jump to the top of the ledge. While the trench tank preps the cave ball, the team runs to the corner northwest of the cave to be ready to catch waves 4 and 8. These waves consist of Earths that can remove enchantments from the trench tank and fail the run if the warden dies. Stay well clear of the spawn point for 12 waves of enemies running to the cave because they can spawn in quite a wide area. EMO should tank wave 4 once it spawns, and it is not recommended to take wave 3 that contains spirits because this serves little purpose and messes up trench tanks' timing and cave. If all goes to plan, the main tank will arrive just after the wave 4 is dead, and you should run around the chasm to give an E target to the Cedar after he places his EOE. Rebond the main tank with all bonds while he's waiting for wave 8 to spawn, and then run towards the rift, but stop with the main tank in your compass range to avoid recalling him out too early. Once wave 8 is dead, the main tank will recall out on top of you and you should run to the rift. Give an E target to the Cedar and stand in a safe spot. You can take this time to rebond the Cedar with prod bond, and also it might be helpful to give him a life bond. Once the cave ball is dead, the main tank will ping his shadow form and trench tank will take the next quest from the warden in the cave. This will spawn a number of tormentors around the rift and 2 claws in the rift itself. After the main tank pulls away the mobs, you should run into the rift and stack up with the Cedar on the right claw to kill it as soon as possible. You then move a little north in order to avoid aggroing the patrol on the left and capture the rift, looking at the indicator in the top left corner of your screen. Once capped, run out along the wall as quickly as possible and keep using E to run out quicker and avoid aggroing any mobs. By this point the trench tank will have taken the next quest from the NPC at the beginning of Gloom, and this will spawn the Order of Whispers company that will promptly die. You should bond the Mesmers with Prod Bond and Balthazar Spirit before the spike, which will be helpful for the Darkness's spike. After the spike, turn around and stand in the casting range from the Darknesses and avoid casting on the Mesmers to avoid breaking Darkness's ball. After the second wave of Darknesses dies, each of them will pop 5 Earth babies, making a total of 25, which can easily wipe the team. Just after the Darknesses die, E to the main tank and take a few steps either left or right side of the main tank in order to block as many Earths as possible. Tank the Earths together with the main tank and maintain your energy by spamming Burning Speed and Spirit Bond. So this is Gloom finished. We now face the grueling run to the Foundry, and at this point you may wish to drop some bonds to conserve your energy and then recast them when you get to Foundry. Talk to your team and ask them to give you EE targets, because the more you can use EE, the more you can spam to keep your energy and maintain bonds. As a side note, Foundry starts are considered to be faster because you save a full minute by not having to do this run. On the other hand, Foundry starts come with a massive time waste in Trench Tank and MLK running back to the city, increasing the time taken to start another run. Finally, after a lot of huffing and puffing, we arrive at the Foundry of Veil Creations, our last area. It consists of 5 rooms, with the final room aptly called the Big Room because it is the largest and it also contains the Fury Group. Please ensure that you take the first quest at the NPC outside the Foundry in case there are any issues in the final room. If you lost any of the bonds during the run from Gloom to Foundry, then rebond the entire team with Prod Bond and give Balthazar Spirit to the Mesmers. First room is the easiest. It contains the 2 pop-ups, the first being the Margonites and the second will have 2 Rages and 2 Despairs. During the first 2 rooms, remember to cover your Ether Renewal, Burning Speed and Spirit Bond on yourself to avoid Chillblains removing your Ether Renewal. If the Mesmers fail to mistrust the Despairs, then you might need to rebond those team members that lost their bonds. Second room will contain a group of Margonites and Torture Webs in the initial pop. Your job here is to heal the other team members with infused health and keep them alive during the spike. If any of the Mesmers run out of energy, then they will ask for their Prod Bond to be dropped, and you should be ready to drop their bond and then rebond them as soon as they are UA'd. Once the initial group dies, another group of 2 Dream Riders and 3 Torture Webs will spawn. You should have covered the Mesmers with Balthazar Spirit and rotate your Spirit Bond in order to reduce the chance of Dream Riders removing the Prod Bond from the entire team with their Mirror of Disenchantment. Vocally check which tank will be doing the big ball on the north side of room 3 and prioritize bonding him with Prod Bond and Life Bond before you enter the next room. Normally this will be the Trench Tank, but it is helpful to check to be sure. Once the spawn is finally dead, you move into room 3. Third room will involve the team spiking 2 balls. To the left, one of the tanks will be bowling the group of 3 Torture Webs and 1 Dream Rider, while the second tank will be doing the big ball on the north side of the room. Give the tank space and do not aggro either group while they are being pulled. Once again, if any of the Mesmers call for their Prod Bond to be dropped, then you should rebond them as soon as they are UA. If IU fails to deal with the Dream Rider and he casts Mirror Disenchantment removing the Prod Bond, then you should be ready to rebond the spike. If all goes to plan, then you should be standing at the entrance to the 4th room with the Cedar and run inside as soon as it opens. In the 4th room, we use a tactic called a push, where the entire team runs to the further gate and spikes the first group of 3 Torture Webs and the key while running. Ideally, the group spawns far enough to avoid aggro from the team so the tank can quickly bowl it, but if it is in aggro, then the team moves and spikes. As always, keep an eye on any of the Mesmers asking to drop their Prod Bond for their energy management. After the first group is dead, and get all the way in the corner with the team. There will be spawn of dimensions, and if you see that any of them sip through, then you need to block them by taking a few steps out to protect EOE from dying. Third wave will have some Despairs, and during the spike, please be aware of the corpse aggro and do not run out from the corner until the tank brings the ball to you. Finally, 4th wave will have 1 Dream Rider, 1 Despair, 1 Torture Web, 1 Key and 3 Fury Titan. Tank will ball this group and you should be aware of the corpse aggro to avoid aggroing the ball too early before the Despair starts attacking the tank to avoid ruining the ball and Despair casting Chillblains on the team. Once the ball is ready, the Mesmers will spike the ball and you should be ready to rebond the team if the Mesmers fail to mistrust the Despair and or IU failing to deal with the Dream Rider. If all goes to plan, then you just stand at the gate and always check at the end of the 4th room that the main tank has full bonds in case of any of mirrors or shatters, including Balthazar Spirit, which is of crucial importance for his energy management in the final room. After the gate opens and it is clear, then move into the final 5th room of the Foundry. Take the quest reward and the next quest from the NPC directly in front of you. Your key job here is to keep the main tank in your compass range, and if any of the snakes get stuck, then you should be close enough to start fusing them to avoid the snakes dying, thereby failing the whole run. Keep running along the left wall, and as always keep the main tank in your compass range. Once the VOR takes the first snake, keep running along the left wall and fuse and spirit bond the snake if it gets stuck or otherwise gets crippled and starts to take significant damage. Repeat the same exercise with the second snake and communicate with the main tank if any of the snakes get stuck and he needs to stop to give the team time to recover. If all goes to plan and there is no need to break Margnites, then you can run to the spiking spot near the beast cave. If however you get aggro of the Margos, keep running along the wall until they break and only then return to the spiking spot. Please ensure that the IU is bonded with both Broad Bond and Life Bond before he goes inside the beast cave, and you should also spirit bond him. Once the beast ball is settled on the IU, you should be in range to fuse and spirit bond the IU while the seed is down to ensure that the block does not fail. As always, keep your eye on the main tank, and if you need to fuse the IU, then tell the main tank to come closer to avoid him being recalled out. Once the beast of our group is dead, the Seeder will take the quest from the general to spawn the sphere group. You then move to the Foundry chest area with the Seeder once it is clear to ensure that you are in a QZ for the seed. If the run doesn't end in Foundry, make sure you keep the main tank in range whilst they get chest and E effectively to the city. Well, that's it folks, thanks for watching and I hope this guide proves useful on your runs. All the best and always yours, Darkness Behind.